Hello and welcome to another edition of the Three-Man Week College Basketball Show here, hosted by SBR. That's right, it is the Wednesday edition of Championship Week. That means the slates are starting to get big. It's going to be giant tomorrow and Friday. A lot of games, a lot of quarterfinals, a lot of semifinals. No bids to be awarded tonight, fellas, but there's still a lot of decent games on the slate. We'll get through those. But first, shout out to our friends at SBR. That is sbrpicks.com/NCAAB. The URL atop the screen. Lots of great extra write-ups there, some picks, some more content, more than just our video show. They've got a lot going on. And you can also check out sbrpicks.com/March Madness. That is their home for NCAA tournament coverage, of course, unsurprising based on that URL. And while you're in here, Chat Mom, make sure to hit the like button on this video. Subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/SBR Sports. All right, let's get into it, guys. Matt Cox, Ky McKeon, what did we see last night? I'll start with you, Matt. Anything jump out at you from the last night's slate of games?
Have my mic on mute, Jim. It's a bad start to the show. Gonzaga jumped out. I'm not sure if you jinxed the first half, but everything made way too much sense in favor of that side. And of course, BYU comes out and shoots like the Golden State Warriors. But the Zags responded second half. And I think we found out that this team still has that top gear that we all suspected they did, that we've seen them show time and time again. Just was nice to see the Zags hit the turbo boosters, Ky, and basically quiet they don't play anyone in the WCC. They're bound to get beat in the tournament. Jalen Suggs went nuclear. I contend he is this team's best player and the reason why he will elevate them to a national title in 2021. Let's go, Zags.
Yeah, I mean, man, I'm going to pile on here a little bit. I just want to point out Gonzaga, guys, they did it. Undefeated season, 26-0. I think the more impressive stat, though, only one.
We got Ky shaky internet this morning.
Oh no, Jim.
That's all right.
It's a two-man show now. Pick it up.
Two-man show. I actually had a mild Gonzaga thought as well. Great pause screen there for Ky. Look at that face. They actually worried me. Last night was the first time I was concerned for Gonzaga in the tournament. Their defensive rotations in the first half were terrible. I know BYU was hot, but Drew Timme looked like he was playing in concrete. I was pretty concerned about them. It took a massive shooting show from Kispert and Suggs for them to get that W. So I'm a little bit more cautious about the Zags than I have been.
Yeah, well, Jim, I think your point is spot on, though. If they have a weakness, it's definitely interior defense, right? I just don't think there's many teams with true low-scoring big guys that can bully Timme inside. You would have thought I would have been that matchup, but they seem to still, hold up, pretty well. They just outscored the Hawkeyes pretty early there. So I am concerned as you are, just less concerned.
Yeah, it's less interior defense, more when they put him in pick and roll. He just couldn't recover it. He looked lazy. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. All right, Ky, we seem to have you back. We're gonna bring you with us into the outline here.
Matt, your chats are now. I had to close the chat and everything. Hey, one team came within 10 points of Gonzaga all year. Boom. That's it. That's the stat. I can't remember any team that's ever done that. So say what you will about Gonzaga. That's ridiculous.
All right, let's go to NC State versus Syracuse. Basically hitting one game from each of the big conference tournaments, guys, and then we'll mix in the Patriot semis at the end. Here we got these two squads right on the bubble. NC State with a 5-game winning streak to end the year, kind of stealthily snuck into the bubble conversation. They're on the fringes, certainly, but they've at least got a chance. This has been bet up a little bit. Syracuse up to -2.5. Ky, before I kick it to you, I was surprised. NC State's zone numbers are excellent this year. They're scoring 0.99 points per possession, 77th percentile in the country, and they've faced a lot of zone. So I actually think they can compete here against some of the steam. What do you think?
Yeah, not a huge three-point attempt rate, but they can hit threes. Not the best offensive rebounding team either, so certainly something I don't think they can take advantage against Qs. Syracuse actually beat them twice during the year. There was no real resistance. It's really the other end where I'm going to be focusing here, because NC State's defense is like a layup line. Syracuse had no problem scoring either game. I don't think they will either this game. I guess Matt, you have to consider NC State's won 5 in a row, but 2 of those games were against Pitt. Once was against Wake. I don't really consider that a huge streak. Now at +2.5, maybe +3, I'd start to give the Wolfpack a bit of a look, but both teams, as Jim said, desperate for a win. Syracuse very much on the cusp. NC State needs to do a lot more work to get to the tournament.
Yeah, is this one of those, loser goes home type situation? I know Syracuse is probably closer to the bubble cut line, but NC State,
loser has no chance.
No chance. Yeah, I like the way that's framed. There's actually some chat mob dissension here. I see a lot of banter on both sides in this one. More people, I think, leaning toward the NC State. Ky, as you mentioned, won 5 in a row. During that stretch, did beat Virginia at JPJ. Very impressive. Worth noting that Devin Daniels did not play in either of the 2 meetings against Syracuse. Jim, I know those zone numbers you mentioned have been really good. I wonder how much Daniels was a part of the early zone component. He's such a versatile piece that they can plug and play in many different spots there. I don't see any value. I made the number right where this team pushed it up to, so hard stay away from me here.
Yeah, Helms at the free throw line has been the difference. I mean, they move the ball really well. Sure. That's kind of what they do well against the zone. Some of the interior passing is pretty solid. But yeah, it's a stay away. This kind of feels like Jim Boeheim, zombie Syracuse, gets back in the conversation, makes you really consider him on Selection Sunday. So, I don't think they'll get eliminated. I just think the NC State matchup isn't as bad as I initially thought it was when I looked at this. All right, let's go to the Big East. Butler versus Xavier. Xavier in a similar bubble spot to NC State and Syracuse. They are probably in right now. I don't feel great about their resume, but they haven't done a ton wrong at this point. This has been bet way up from -4.5 to -7. Xavier just beat Butler without Bryce Enzi, without Aaron Thompson, without Bo Hodges. Hodges and Enzi are questionable today.
Yeah.
I think Butler could compete here, Matt, but do you think there's something to the motivation difference where Xavier's playing for their postseason lives versus Butler? They don't have that same end game in their minds.
Yeah, I'm worried about if no Enzi, if Butler and no Hodges, Butler could be down to 6 effective players, and it could be a real thin rotation.
Is Thompson out too?
Thompson's for sure done for the year.
Thompson's done for the year,
and they've been playing without him, so I think they've sort of kind of adjusted to the new normal in that regard. But we've seen Butler play competitively shorthanded. The Creighton game comes to mind, obviously the first matchup against Villanova, and then obviously I think they started to crack against Creighton. I'm not sure, Jim. I'm trying to figure out which Butler team shows up here. I'm not looking to bet Butler and cross my fingers, Ky, hoping that Enzi and Hodges play, because if they don't, I think the line's pretty accurate here at 7.
It's kind of funny how COVID sort of worked in favor of Xavier. Like Jim said, they haven't done a lot wrong. They really haven't done a lot right either. But since January 30th, they're just 2-5. Somehow they are still on that right side of the bubble by most bracketologists' brackets. I don't think this game should be particularly close. I think Xavier really could handle Butler here, beat him by 12 and by 13. You said they had Butler had guys out. They had guys out again. They haven't scored over 0.9 points per possession in either game against Xavier. Zach Fremantle feels like a mismatch for them, especially if Enzi's out and they have no answer for Paul Scruggs. So spread does feel right where it's at, -6.5, -7. So I would lean towards Xavier.
Yeah, I was on Xavier that second meeting because Enzi and Thompson and Hodges were all announced out, and it took like a fork late, basically. They were only up 2 at halftime. It was close most of the way through the second half, but they ended up extending, winning by 12. It kind of felt like a fluky cover to me.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to stay away here. I don't really trust them. Maybe an under bet because they're down pieces. They've slowed both the games down that they've met earlier this year. I could see that being a little bit more of a side possibility or a total possibility. All right, guys, let's go to the Big 12. Iowa State and Oklahoma. This one gained a little more intrigue here because the winner is going to play Kansas down David McCormick. That's obviously great for the Sooners. They're a double-digit favorite here, 11.5 up from 11. Total of 141.5. Oklahoma lost 4 straight to end the year.
Yep.
Kind of a disappointing end to their season after a bunch of big wins in January and February. But Iowa State covered both times that these two played. That maybe they can be competitive here. They did have that sad 0-18 Big 12 campaign.
Yes.
Ky, do you think they get a cover here on what is maybe the final day of their season?
I think they could if Rasir Bolton is back. His status is key. I don't see a reason they can't hang around within double digits again.
Expected to play.
It's huge. Oklahoma, Jim, 4 straight losses, 5 points to K-State, 4 points to Oklahoma State in overtime, 4 points to Oklahoma State, 4 points to Texas. Close game. Still, obviously, a very dangerous team. Still incredibly well coached. I want to point something about Iowa State real quick, and I'll pass it to Matt. They've beaten 2 teams all year, and that's 2 SWAC teams. They've only played 2 teams outside of the KenPom top 200, and 5 of their 23 games were against teams outside the top 100. It was a brutal schedule for the Clones, Matt. I'm not really excusing the Ofer Big 12 stretch they had, but I mean, they did play a really tough strength of schedule.
Yeah, I have to start off with another lame stay away here. There's just two conflicting forces that I can't really make sense of which one's going to win out in that tug of war. On one end, you have Iowa State having that new lease on life feel, a common thread I think I'll reiterate
Reset
throughout
button.
today. Yeah, the old reset button. I think that plays well. Obviously, more talented than how they played the season. Their record indicates that. But Oklahoma, all 4 straight losses. They were the toast of the Big 12 for a while there, and they just sort of hit a wall. They had a tough schedule spot. I think just the accumulation of fatigue and all those awesome, gritty efforts caught up to them. Now they're refreshed, they're rejuvenated. So you have those two forces clashing head to head, and I just can't really make sense of what wins out. I do think the number's a little bit high, though, Jim.
Yeah, that would be my thought process is a little high on the number, but I'm not. Oklahoma should do something similar to what Duke did to Boston College yesterday. Oklahoma not as desperate in bubble situation as Duke, but they're in a different class, double-digit favorite here on a neutral in a big conference game. I would be nervous about taking the dog. All right, let's move to the Pac-12, Washington State and Arizona State, the 8-9 game here in this bracket. Arizona State taking some money. They flipped from +1 to -1, total of 144. We know that there will be no Bagley, no Christopher, so the freshman phenoms for the Sun Devils not participating in this one. Arizona State looked like they were ready for vacation in their most recent game. They went to Utah. The second leg of that altitude trip got absolutely demolished. There's kind of a massive coaching mismatch here, Matt, with plenty of time to prepare. Is that making you lean one way?
A key factor here, injuries on the other side. Worth noting that Isaac Bonton is expected to play, but likely on a minutes restriction per Kyle Smith. We've seen the Wazoo play well without him, but that was just when Noah Williams went completely nuclear. One of those games, he had 40 points. I think he's capable of carrying the mantle offensively, but I like Washington State when they have both those guys in there because you take those two away, there's really no shot creators. Their offense gets really stagnant, and they have to live and die on the defensive end. But, Jim, your first point's the most important one here. Coaching discrepancy. Washington State will play some zone. Kyle Smith, we've seen Ky will mix and match defenses, and that's how you take Arizona State out of their, guard-heavy, penetration-centric pick-and-roll type attack. So I will be Washington State. A little weary about Bonton not playing a lot here, but that's certainly where I lean.
Yeah, Jim, Arizona State stopped trying a long time ago. I agree. They're ready for the season to be over. Wouldn't be surprised.
Do you think this is reset button for them, or are they just toast?
That's one angle I think I'm considering here. No Bagley or Christopher, I think, for forever. I think they're probably done at this. Would be my guess. I'd assume they go pro. Arizona State has one win this season against a Ken Pom top 100 team. That was Stanford. That shocked me. This team was consensus top 15 heading into the year. They did beat Wazoo by 3 in overtime, Matt, to your point, without Bonton. If he is out, I have to lean towards Arizona State. I know the coaching discrepancy is huge, but a 1-point spread, Remy Martin and Alonzo Verge still exist on Arizona State, certainly can carry a team in a tournament setting. So I actually lean towards ASU here.
I think I'm going to take Wazoo, guys. I'm going to do it. Wazoo +1. It reminds me a little last year. We were nervous about Washington getting that reset button after they had a terrible season, and then they did nothing in the Pac-12 tournament. So I'm going to go with the Cougars +1 official show play here. So I'm back in Kyle Smith. Hopefully Bonton plays a little bit and Noah Williams stays out of foul trouble. That was an issue in the overtime loss in the first meeting as well. All right, let's go to the chat mob. Chat, folks, make sure to hit that like button as we get through these questions here. We appreciate your attentive participation to the games that are being discussed. Matt, what do you got for us?
Jim, I'm going to stir the pot here to get us started here. We have a lot of chat mob dissension on plays, a few of which we have our own takes on as well. So let's mediate this internal feud between Ben Sports 247 and Mr. Playtime. Ky, they disagree on Army, Loyola, MD. The Greyhounds have been our babies all season. I guess me and Jim specifically, we've ridden them quite a bit. I think it's been mostly a losing endeavor, Jim.
Matt,
but
this is on the outline.
It is on the outline. All right, sorry, folks. We'll to get to that drama later then. But I'm excited to talk about that one. MTD25 wants to know about UTSA. I am on the opposite side of this one. I was this close to being my best bet, but as Ky so astutely pointed out pre-show, Charlotte has been terrible. Jim, this feels like a prime reset button for me. Any side here take for you?
Yeah, number certainly wants me to take Charlotte, but I don't like the pack line against the shooting of UTSA. They don't care about driving. They're just going to pull up and shoot over the top. And they've been so bad, just so bad lately.
Yeah.
I don't really have a great inkling to back Charlotte, so I would stay away personally.
Yeah, lean Charlotte map for me heavily, by the way.
That'll be official show play for me. I'll just go ahead and write that down. We'll get to that at the end. +4, I believe, is the current number. Is it hovering upwards of 4.5? Let me check.
It was like 5 pre-show.
4.5, 5?
Yeah.
All right. We'll see what the chat mob agrees to. I'll write down 4.5 tentatively.
Yeah, I'm seeing like almost 5 almost across the board, man.
Then I'm taking 5. It's a key number, Jim. We like key numbers here. Boom. Let's go, Charlotte. Ron Sanchez, don't let me down. Next one here, we have Ryan Dearden and a few others asking about Clemson versus Miami. The Canes got it done yesterday, a team that we've been sort of, shook to bet the last few weeks just with all the injuries that they've piled up. But, they did play Clemson close both games this season, Ky, the last of which was without Harlan Beverly, the same cast of characters they'll have today. Can they keep it close in another lofty spread situation?
Yeah, spread's high. I lean the Canes for sure in this game. I know they're super hurt, but tournament setting, bench matters a lot less. Ask Appalachian State. So I do lean towards Miami.
Yeah, I would have taken this official show play if it hit double digits, but 9, it's just a lean for me.
All right, Big East action here. Marquette, Georgetown. Forgive me if I missed the outline. I believe that's on there. But Portman, a few other folks asking about this one. Short spread, but not that Marquette deserves it to be favored by anything more than a field goal the way they've played down the stretch. I would lean Golden Eagles here, Jim. Do you think this is a game where Marquette plays closer to that preseason prognosis? We thought they'd be certainly a cut above Georgetown.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they played fairly well down the stretch. They won 4 of their last 5, won at North Carolina, took care of Xavier at home. They looked pretty solid. Georgetown can sometimes play up to competition and be very feisty here. They're a long, tall team, so they can bother Marquette with that. But I lean towards the Golden Eagles. I'm not going to officially take it at 3. Maybe if it dropped below 3, I would take it. I made it -5. So you give me -2.5, I would do it, but I will stay away from an official show play here.
All right, let's hit 1-2 more maybe. We have match and kicking off today. Siena, Iona. Are we going to pocket that or we want to hit that one now? I forget if one of you had a best bet on this one.
No best bets here.
No best bet here. Go ahead, Ky.
I think Siena should be favored, so I would take Siena. That's long and short of it.
Yeah, I made it pick them, but I don't know. I just can't trust Siena right now. They think they can just turn it on in the tournament, but I don't think they're that good to where they can do that.
Yeah, Iona obviously played yesterday. We've seen the spot take some money on the favorite. The A10 sticks out in particular, so certainly something to be weary on if you want to back Iona here. And Siena's just not a team that I want to favor. It's certainly a reset candidate team, but that's an exception for me. One more, real quickly. Sacramento State, Northern Colorado tips off early. I believe 10 a.m. local out there for Jimbo in the West Coast. The Bears have been a little bit underwhelming this season. They had some injury issues. This feels like a great value, a great spot to take them with potential buy low. The spread's been bet from -2 to -3. Ky, any take here on this Big Sky opener?
No, not a huge take. Northern Colorado had a disappointing season. They were supposed to be a lot better. They still have a lot of talent. Their offense has just been strangely anemic. I do lean to their way just because I have this feeling they can get it back. But Sacramento State's been a tough team all year. They can beat pretty much anybody with the style they play. It's kind of a gross, you don't want to watch this game type of style.
Yeah, that's like one of Northern Colorado's best things is they run you off the 3-point line, and Sacramento State has no shooters. They don't care. They've got one. Right. Well, they have one shooter, but they're all play through the post, pounded inside, so it doesn't really help what UNC wants to do. It's actually at 8 a.m. out here, Matt. This game starts in 40 minutes.
Oh, my goodness. That makes me think under, but it's a low total, so I will stay away. Jim, that concludes our first round. I will compile the rest, and let's get back to the outline.
All right. Make sure you assemble all of the arguments that are happening in there, too.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yep.
There's a lot.
All right. Let's go to the SEC before we hit the Patriot. Texas A&M and Vanderbilt, the only play-in game in the SEC tournament because Auburn is already on vacation, postseason ban. Vandy's -1. The total's been bet way up, guys. 131.5 up to 135. Oh, I kind of leaned Texas A&M on number and coaching. I think Buzz Williams with time to prepare against Jerry Stackhouse is a massive mismatch. But Scottie Pippen is a star, and he has been carrying Vanderbilt without Dylan Disu. And he's just not the kind of guy I want to bet against in a conference tournament setting because he can really go off. Ky, do you have anything on this one?
Yeah, battle of the cellar dwellers. They've actually not played each other this year, which is strange. So exciting. We get a first game SEC here. A&M really hurt by COVID this year. They never played in February. Missed all of that month. 17 games all year. Jim, I'm on the Pippen train, man. I just think he's awesome. Obviously, first team all conference player in the SEC. A&M's offense, Matt, is the worst in the conference. They're going against the worst defense in the conference. I actually skew towards the defense in that setting because the offense just can't obliterate them, can't take total advantage. So I do lean Vanderbilt ever so slightly here. They take a ton of threes. A&M allows a ton of threes. Pippen goes off. I think they can win this game.
Yeah, A&M has covered their last three, or two of their last three, depending on what closing number you got with the Mississippi State game. Pretty impressive effort against Arkansas to close out the year, although they did shoot the lights out, something that we know is more and less an anomaly for a poor shooting team. So, I mean, no take here for me. I think you guys hit the important points. Scottie Pippen's just an absolute star, a guy who could, maybe carry his team for, 1 or 2 wins here in this SEC tournament, be like the cute little surprise darling.
Yeah, Texas A&M, the last 2 covers, Mississippi State, Arkansas, both impressive out of a COVID shutdown. I mean, they were out for, like Kai said, they didn't play at all in February, and then they covered 2 games, nearly won at Arkansas. That was a heck of an effort from the Aggies. All right, let's go to the Patriot. I know we've got some opinions here. We'll start, Matthew, with Bucknell at Colgate. These are still road games, guys, not a neutral site tournament. Colgate has been, Bucknell has been hammered. Opened 15.5. It is down to 12 from what I saw. Total at 148.5. Matthew, tell these people where they should be on this game.
Jim, we got to tell them about John Meeks. And for those who are listening who don't know who that is, we've talked about teams who have been like the most undervalued team in the country at certain points throughout the show. I'd contend Bucknell has a strong case for that at this particular point. They've basically played 11 games. The 5 that Meeks has played, they've covered and won handily. The 6 that he hasn't, they've been terrible. Played last game, dominated Lafayette, completely changed the complexion of the game. They did double team him for the second half. I think their current value in the market is basically a blended average of with and without Meeks, but with Meeks, they're 3-4 points better, minimum. He's one of the most important players to his teams in the country. Yeah. I think even 12 still has value. I take it up anything up to 10.
Yeah, I agree. The spread's way too high. It's ridiculous. Colgate, guys, 8th in the net, though. They've only played 3 teams all year. Army, Boston, Holy Cross. That's the only teams they've played, period. They do have 2 Q2 wins. That's Army, both times at Army. Yeah, Matt, I like Bucknell here a lot. I think Colgate's a little bit overrated by odds makers, by KenPom. Great team. Hope they win the Patriot. Hope we see them in the tournament. But 12.5 points, tournament setting against Bucknell, I think it's too many.
Kai, I think Bucknell's, sorry, real quick here. Bucknell's kind of like Bryant, Kai, your fade yesterday. Dominant team in that conference, but a little bit inflated by some early, really strong efforts.
Colgate is like Bryant.
Colgate is like Bryant. Thank you.
Yeah. No, Matt, you said Meeks one of the most important. You could make a case for him being the most important, like to the number, because of how great they played with him and how terrible they've been without him. So I'm with you. Are you locking that in as best bet? I don't believe
best bet. I believe I will do so. Yes, sorry, I was trying to toggle between Charlotte and Bucknell. I'll go Bucknell best bet plus 12.
Okay, I'm going to join you. Bucknell plus 12. I'm with you. I think they can hang around with Meeks on the court. So, all right, let's go to the other semifinal here. Loyola, Maryland at Army. The Greyhounds pulled off the upset. They won at the 1 seed Navy. We got Loyola, Maryland at Army here. Army -2, up to 3.5. The total has also been bet up from 134 to 136.5. Loyola, Maryland, I mean, are we concerned about their lack of shooting? They did get Cam Spencer back. Kai, this might not set up that well for them as a matchup, but they're taking money. So do you agree with this team?
I mean, I think Army is legit. They beat Buffalo this year. They almost beat Florida, beat Navy, beat Colgate. Loyola, Maryland, super talented. We've talked about for decades, it seems like, this season. Took down Navy just the other day without Cam Davis. They need to take care of the ball. That's what Army does to create points. One of the main avenues for scoring points. They run off turnovers in transition. I think that they can be effective in that, Matt. And they also battle on the boards. Loyola Maryland has a huge size advantage, but Army boxes out, team rebounds. They're one of the best in the country at defensive rebounding. I think it's going to be a really close game. We saw these games both play close last year, 1 point, 4 points in a split series between these two schools. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning Army, Matt, but I know you're going to go the other way and take Greyhounds. Am I right?
Yeah, this is a big initial dispute between our favorites, Ben Sports and Mr. Playtime, as well as a few others who are chiming in on this matchup. I like the Greyhounds, as I have for most of the season. While I will concede I was probably stubbornly backing them to start, I think this is a favorable matchup. And now they're a little bit undervalued with Spencer back in the mix. Where Loyola struggles is against pressure. And I don't think Army is a team that wants to swarm and get in your face, kind of like Navy does, a team that bothered them before they finally took them down in the last round, Jim. So I think anything where Loyola, any spread where Loyola's a dog is worth taking. So yeah, I'm on the Greyhounds. I think I'll add another official show play off the hip here.
There you go. I my number leaned that way, but I actually think it's a terrible matchup for them. They're a bad shooting team. That's what I mentioned. And Army is all pack it in, shoot over the top. We dare you to. And I don't think Loyola Maryland can really take advantage of that so much. So I'm a little bit nervous for the Greyhounds in terms of matchups. So I will not join you in an official show play there.
I'll be on my own island. That's fine.
I'd love to see Aldama in the NCAA tournament, though. So I'm rooting for them to continue this run that they're on. All right, let's go recap best bets, guys. We'll go through those, and then we'll hit the chat map one more time. So, Matt, reiterate what you have for the people.
I have Bucknell plus 12 best bets, Charlotte plus 5, and as I just talked about, Loyola plus 1.5 is the prevailing number I see here on the SBR odds page board. I may have one more coming as well as a late ad per the initial chat mob round of questions, but Kyle, holster that for now. What do you got?
Have we talked Duke Louisville yet? Did I miss this when I was in the internet?
I don't believe we have talked about it.
Okay, we'll get there. Okay. My best bet, Stanford, guys, -6. I think it's still 6. I had to close my window. Oscar Da Silva, excuse me, rumored to be back for this game. Absolutely enormous. I'm hoping Dejon Davis, Bryce Wills will as well. Not too sure on their statuses. Stanford needs this win. They needed probably a few games to get back on the right side of the bubble. I think they can. They're still very talented. They are one of the best teams on defense in the Pac-12. They're nails defensively. They've lost 4 straight, but 3 of those were without Da Silva. With him back in the lineup, this spread is just too short. So Stanford -6 is my best bet.
Yeah, Kai, they kind of dominated Cal both meetings. The second one after the Super Bowl landed 6, but Stanford was up, I think, 19 with 5 minutes left. It was a furious comeback to get inside the number by the Golden Bears. Stanford definitely the better squad here with Da Silva on the court. I will join you at -6. Let's go. Let's have some fun.
All right. Let's do it.
All right, my best bet, guys. Well, I'll recap that I have Wazoo +1, Bucknell +12 with Matthew, Stanford -6 with Kai. So I'm writing both of their best bets. And I'm also going with Southeast Louisiana +6.
Southeastern Louisiana, Jim.
You know what I mean. CELA, as I lovingly call them. I just think it's a little too high. New Orleans, a very solid team, but CELA should live at the free throw line in this one. They split the regular season games. It took overtime for New Orleans to knock them off in the late season win for the Privateers. A little concerned about CELA being on the back-to-back, not a super deep team, but as we've seen, Kai, sometimes that just doesn't matter. Appalachian State, the clear example of that. So, yeah, I will take that +6 as my best bet. That means it is chat mob time, Matthew. Take us home.
Jim, I like that last ad there. If you believe in closing line value, you should just try and pick off these spots where you're catching teams on back-to-backs and fade them. If you like the other side, you should wait. So I think it's pretty much like clockwork. Again, line value is king, as we always like to say. Let's start in the Big Ten. Drew asking about Northwestern Minnesota. Kai is our courtesy Gopher insider here. What are your thoughts on the tailspin that is Minnesota right now with all the injuries they have?
It's unfortunate. Injuries. I mean, you can point to that and pretty much blame it on that if you want. Richard Pitino, I'm not sure if he's the right guy for Minnesota, but I do think it's a little bit unfair to just kind of fire him because of all the injury luck here. No Robbins, I think, again. No Kalsher. They are dogs against Northwestern on a neutral floor. I would never thought I'd see that. Like, that's insulting. But I don't want to take them with all the injury trouble with how they've been playing lately.
Yeah, Northwestern, weird team. Started 3-0 in conference, lost 13 straight, then won 3 to end the year.
Right.
It's really hard to figure out. Minnesota's just a team I don't want to back right now. I'm surprised that they're a dog, but they haven't played at all like a team that should be favored, so it makes sense in that regard.
We got Mountain West kicking off today in Jim's backyard, Thomas and Mack. A few folks asking about Wyoming against San Jose State. Wyoming opened -11, bet up to -12. Jim, we've been hammering home the dichotomy in the Mountain West, right? The haves and the have-nots. Wyoming's not really, they're kind of in no man's land, but we know where San Jose State falls in that end of the spectrum. What do you think? This line's a little too inflated, or is it about right?
I made it exactly. I made it 11.5. So I made it like basically what it crossed over there. I don't have anything strong. I probably lean towards the double-digit dog, but I don't have anything real strong there. Jeff Linder's a terrific coach for Wyoming. I don't want to go against him.
All right, next up, Big East action. Providence versus DePaul. A few folks as well asking about this one. Ky, our Demons, is this, back to the whole, is it a reset or is it a quitter, right? That's kind of, you have to choose what mentality of the team you're going to back here, because DePaul has been pretty much helpless most of the season. They've had some competitive efforts at certain times when healthier. I don't know. You think they can be able to put the number today?
They finished so far in the basement. Like I just did our Big East write-up. They're at least 4 games behind the next highest win total in conference. They played pretty much every game. So, yeah, DePaul absolutely terrible this year. But 7 points, that's a lot. That's a lot of points, especially against Providence. I actually lean towards DePaul. I
do too. I think it's a little too high, although I'm not positive what the deal is with their injuries. Javon Freeman-Liberty, we don't know if he'll be out there.
Yeah.
Nick Ongenda and Oscar Lopez also potentially out. So without knowing injury status, I think it's a stay away from me right now.
I'm going to give some props to my guy Ducky with some fiery takes today in the chat mob. Asked about one game that I love, but I'll get to that in a second. First off, wants to know about Middle Tennessee versus North Texas, Jim. Man, early steam betting North Texas all the way up to, I believe, 16, despite the total being in the mid-120s. Just an indictment on Middle Tennessee's offense. Is there any shot they stay within that big number? We've talked about how big numbers are usually good plays here, large dogs in the conference tournament settings.
I don't think it applies to Middle Tennessee. I think you need to put a factor on their spreads now. like whatever spread you're going to make the game, add 20%, because they've been playing so poorly lately and they get blown out so much. It's just spread 16, but I don't want to take Middle Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, why should I believe that Middle Tennessee can compete here? They have been awful. I don't think they can score, and the total indicates that combined with the spread. So this is a no thank you for me.
Ducky's second question. He thinks Mississippi Valley State, Ky, the Delta Devils have value, and guess what? He's right. Plus 25. I actually think some 25 and a hook are at a few bucks here per the SPR odds page. I think this line is awfully high. I don't care how bad they've been all season. They've actually covered 2 of the last 3 the Delta Devils have. Played Prairie View pretty close 2 weeks ago. A prime situation where I think they just play decent enough to stay inside an insanely high number.
I don't know. I kind of lean Prairie View. I know they played them close there the other day, but this is the best team in the SWAC, so I wouldn't trust the Delta Devils.
I lean Delta D's, Matthew.
Let's go. It's a show play for me. I just want to I want to go down at the end of the year knowing I backed the Delta Devils with an SBR show pick. So that's a 25.
26
can I get
and
the
a
hook?
half.
26 and a half? Give it to me.
Yeah,
let's go. I'll take all the points. I will probably need all of them. Another large dog, Big Sky action. Frank asked about Idaho versus Montana. Akin to the Middle Tennessee matchup, it's a big spread in a game that I think plays to a pretty low number. So the line will feel like an even larger mountain to climb. But I don't know, Ky, it's Idaho. Is this a reset team or this team is awful and they put on the season team?
Montana's not a team I would trust too much as a big favorite, just because they tend to do weird things and they tend to let teams back in the game. However, Idaho literally is a bottom 5 team in the country this year. I don't feel comfortable betting either side of this game. I would just stay away. There's plenty of other games to bet on.
That's kind of the way I feel. Well said, Ky.
That concludes the chat mob inquiries. I'm scanning through any last second request here. If you guys saw anything,
we didn't actually talk Duke Louisville.
Let's talk Duke Louisville.
Yeah, that's an important game. Who wants to start us off here? Ky, go.
I'm surprised Louisville's a dog. I made him a favorite, so I think Louisville's a better play.
I completely agree. I don't know why I don't have Louisville as an official show play. I guess I'm just afraid Duke's maybe figuring it out. I don't know, Jim.
Duke's been bet up a little bit too. -2, 2.5 at this point. I would probably lean towards Louisville as well. I also am a little frightened, though. Duke looked awesome yesterday. I think they are rounding into form a little bit. We mentioned that Coach K is pretty good in this event. He's done really well in the ACC tournament, and I am nervous that they're going to go on a run here. Louisville squeaked by in both of the games. I watched basically the entirety of both Duke-Louisville games, and they were coin flips. So it wasn't like Louisville was demonstrably the better team. So I'm going to stay away.
All right, yeah, there's a lot of Louisville Duke back and forth. Like this is going to be a pretty hotly contested game. Apparently, we all like Louisville. We talked Siena Iona at length. Like it seems like we're all a little bit torn on that one. Jim, that's it. Wrap us up here.
All right, fantastic. That is our Wednesday show. Thank you everybody in the chat for coming. Please hit that like button on the way out. Subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/SBR Sports. And of course, head over to the site, sbrpicks.com/NCAAB and /March Madness. A lot of great resources as we get into the NCAA tournament. Make sure to check that out. We will see you all on Thursday for a loaded slate of games. Until then, have a great evening and day.